Movies. Everything you see and hear was done on purpose. Everything has meaning. Join Corey Heitschmidt, Justin Eldon, and me, Craig Dickinson, for Reading Between the Reels. Each episode will break down the movies you love and analyze cinematography, sound, performance, and set design to uncover the significance of the filmmaker's choices. Reading Between the Reels, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Tonight on a special anime edition of The Director's Cut, we're getting into Lupin III as we talk about the 1993 television movie Voyage to Danger with Robbie Sherman from Conversation with Robbie Sherman. So stick around, everybody. The show starts right now. Welcome to a special anime edition of Collateral Cinema Director's Cut. I'm Bo Maddox.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Gentleman Thief Robbie Sherman.
And we are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas. And yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast. Whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And we are happy to have with us from Conversations with Robbie Sherman, Mr. Robbie Sherman. How are you doing, Rob?
I'm doing excellent. I'm happy to be on Collateral Cinema again. It's always a good time talking to you, Bo and Ashley.
Hell yeah, man. It's great to have another conversation with Robbie Sherman.
yeah, exactly.
You feed into my brand very easily.
Oh, definitely. And for those of our listeners who may not have heard your first guest spot on this podcast, why don't you go ahead and just kind of talk about your show a little bit, real quick.
Well, everybody, Conversations with Robbie Sherman is a media podcast. I generally cover animation and other types of film media. Occasionally, I might get into music if I'm feeling a little more experimental, but I'm a little bit of an animator myself, so I'm pretty fascinated by animation. So I've been trying to do my bit to kind of dissect and point out the cool spots in animation history that kind of go unnoticed. You know, Lupin the Third is a very big brand, but I also think there's lots of little things in it that don't stand out, but are still excellent and still amazing. So I've been continuing my coverage because I really wanted to dig in, and there's a lot of people that watch this whole thing.
Oh,
this decades-long series.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And yeah, Lupin the Third is definitely one of those anime that I've always been very much aware of. I've watched some of the first series, mostly when it was airing on Adult Swim, and I really loved it back then. But I never really got into these television movies that they made. I believe there's like 4 of them. I think.
I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it looks like they've been doing these TV specials for like every year since since the 80s. There's the TV specials, and then there's also the movies, which are like a separate thing. I was doing some research on this because this was actually my first exposure to Lupin the Third. I watched.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man, this was kind of a blind spot in my anime knowledge, but I really enjoyed what I've seen so far. I watched this TV special. I watched a couple episodes of Lupin the Third Part 1, and I started The Castle of Cagliostro because I saw it was directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and I was like, oh shit, okay. And actually, that was his directorial debut, I believe.
Yeah, and it's.
Yeah, I mean, so he was also involved along with Masaki Osumi, who directed this film or this TV special, they were both involved in the early anime episodes as well, I believe, right?
I'd say Otaka Hata is also involved in those. Yeah, I'd say Otaka Hata is just one of those people that's like an animator's animator in the sense that he revolutionizes like certain parts of the industry from within the industry, but from the outside, it just looks like a thing that becomes standard for how you do stuff. There's even this like term, I can't remember what it is. I may have to look it up in a second. But what it is when you draw something that is so realistic that it creates a sense of humor, like in the viewer. Like there's a term for this. I gotta look that up. Oh my word.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is from what I saw looking at YouTube reviews of this, the actual animation style in this particular movie / TV special, it's a little it's a little darker and a little grittier than what I remember of Lupin the Third in the original series. They had like a little kind of some goofier character designs. They had some jankier animation, but this right here, this kind of it's got more grit to it. You know, it's got some darker shadows to it. It almost kind of feels like it's. They somehow captured natural lighting in an interesting way and in an animated form.
Yeah. Oh, the lighting and the shading of it is incredible. It's so good. I also think like the designs are round in a very pleasant way, and they're just like they're cartoony in anatomy, but they're also very appealing nonetheless. Like you don't look at them necessarily as being they don't feel unrealistic when they walk and move, even though of course they have these very tiny arms and legs. Like the Lupin gang is so thin. It's always funny to me.
Yeah. This time they seem like more fleshed. As far as the animation is concerned, they seem like they're a lot more fleshed out. You know, But they can still kind of have those same classic mannerisms and expressions that Lupin the Third was kind of known for, like especially in the earlier series. I mean, it was kind of a lot more cartoony and a little goofier than it is in this particular special.
Yeah, I noticed that too, comparing it with the early anime episodes that I watched, and even the movie that I watched was the difference in the art style. Like you said, I mean this does feel a lot more gritty and more realistic, even with the characters' typical proportions being intact.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, especially when you get into the character designs of Zenigata and of Goemon and Jigen, it's like, I mean, they really feel like, I mean, they're actually, they're not too cartoony,
Yeah, a little less.
Yeah.
This has one of my favorite Zenigata chins. Like,
definitely.
Like of it. Like the angles they get out of it, beautiful stuff. Oh man.
I know they gave Zenigata's. He is probably the goofiest of the bunch in this particular special.
Yeah, and his voice in the Funimation dub kind of complements that.
I love his voice in this dub, honestly.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And what's funny is that the dub is overall, like in terms of performance, pretty good. The only thing that really irked me was that the pronunciation of some Japanese names was very, very wrong. And I knew right off the bat when they said Daisuke, I was like, oh no, that's not what that character's called. And then, like I said, this was my first exposure, but with some, general knowledge of Japanese, I was like, ooh. And they said Fujiko Mine, and they call him Lupin, not Lupin.
I know.
That's a smack on the wrist. No, come on, guys. We've been playing around long enough to know what the fuck's up.
Yeah.
But also, I kind of feel like that's really par for the course with a lot of these late 80s and early 90s anime dubs. Like, even the really good ones could kind of have that jank to them when it comes to localization and pronunciation and everything. So, I mean, that doesn't really make me bat an eye because that's just kind of a feature of this particular era of anime.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you just accept. And even when I watched it, I wondered, like, okay, is this how they just pronounce the character names in the localized version? And then, I went back and I watched a couple episodes and did some research, and I was like, okay, no, they use different dubs. So this is just this TV special's peculiarity. But like you said, Bo, I mean, it is kind of par for the course. So you kind of just smile and nod and whatever. There's lots of fictional character names that are mispronounced to this day just because they were mispronounced early on when they broadcasted on television and imprinted on everyone's minds.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to go ahead and comment on the actual like the interplay between the team themselves. Zenigata, Goemon, and Fujiko and Lupin, because for one, Fujiko for a change is actually not trying to just completely fuck the gang over every 5 seconds for money or a dude.
That is a difference I noticed, is that she is like consistently helpful like throughout this special. And I already kind of got the vibe from her that she's the kind of girl that he would be at odds with sometimes. So I was kind of expecting that, there's to be some kind of betrayal. And when I watched the anime later, I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's exactly kind of what I expected from this character. Yeah, no, I mean, she's his ally throughout. Also, Zenigata. I mean, and I think that this special does a good job, like, introducing these characters. So, like, even seeing, like, the dynamic between him and Zenigata, like, you kind of understand what it's normally like and why this is different. And it's the same way with Fujiko.
Well, yeah, well, with Zenigata and Lupin, I mean, these are people who have been in each other's lives for like 20 some odd years. I mean, Zenigata's been trying to arrest Lupin for ages, and he just always gets the slip on him, And I mean, it's kind of interesting to see Zenigata, finally stripped of that responsibility to bring Lupin in, and he actually makes a pretty natural addition to their team here, at least in this particular scenario.
I love how quick the intro is. It's just immediately police come into the house. Zenigata dismisses them. They're all freaked out. He comes to the door and knocks, and they like blow the door apart and come out looking at him, and he's just standing there. It's so funny when he comes in and pulls out like 4 giant bottles of liquor. Just a classic, hilarious Lupin alcohol moment. Just good stuff.
Lupin, come here and have a drink with me.
Yes. And that opening scene is done really, really well. I mean, they jump right into the action and then subvert that right away, and it really kind of just sets the pace for the whole movie.
I don't think this is one of the better of the TV movies, but I do think it's wily enough to be like to not be at the bottom of the heap. Like this feels good. Like on every level.
Well, and being directed by the guy that pretty much set up Lupin the Third from the start, I think kind of helps.
Yeah, it's kind of coming around full circle because, I mean, I believe that at the time this was intended to be the last Lupin television special.
I heard that
so,
too.
I mean, it would have made sense to bring Osumi back in, to kind of bring it all to fruition, to have everything come back around. But of course, I believe we've had a few more since then, of course. But
yeah.
But also, what's really cool about this particular special is that we get a little bit of character development for Jigen. I mean, this whole thing is basically this backstory between Jigen and the professor, Karen Karinsky. And apparently he was there when her dad was... he apparently shot her dad right in front of her. But, I mean, apparently in self-defense. But, yeah, she's got a little bit of a grudge against him. But she just kind of goes along with it so she can have that moment to confront him.
And what's great about that is they pose it as a romance at first. So you get subdued into thinking this is going to be like this big romantic subplot for Jigen, and then you find out about him killing her dad. Yeah.
They do set it up that way, yeah. And I actually thought that was surprising because I kind of expected that Lupin would be the one with the romance subplot in this movie, but, actually it's Jigen.
Yeah, and from what I understand, they do that in a couple other of these specials. Like, there's one that has a little bit of a backstory with Gomon and another, a female kunoichi named Kikyo, I believe. I don't remember which one it was, but it was, they kind of go into that in other specials as well.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I mean, yeah, like what you were saying, Ash, like when it comes to like or I think what Robbie was saying about the setup for the romantic scene is like they really really leaned into it when he was trying to teach her how to shoot a revolver and everything, like very briefly. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really think that. I kind of don't really think that it was a romance thing. It was just more of a, like, these two people, their backstories are inextricably interlinked, and this was just going to happen someday. They were going to have to confront that eventually.
It's misdirection, I guess, if you want to interpret it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I don't think the romance thing matters at the end of the day. I think that was entirely there as viewer misdirection to create a sense of what we might be getting, and then to shock you into the reality of what's actually happening with these two characters. And it makes the payoff towards the end so much better.
Yeah, and he's a little bit older than her too, so I think that works out a little bit better.
Yeah. But also there's the fact that she has that kind of tragic character thing going for her. Because, I mean, in the end, she pays for her need for revenge with her life, even though at the end of the day, she still tries to save Jigen and Lupin and all of them. But, I mean, it does lead to a very poignant scene between Jigen and Karen. They finally lay their whole thing to rest, and Karen dies.
I do have to ask though. Okay, so they mentioned that this thing happened 10 years ago, but they also mentioned that Zenigata has been hunting them for 20 years. So he's known Lupin for longer. So where was Lupin where this was happening? Did he just like take this one job with another partner once?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Okay, these people aren't always tied to the hip. Like, Jigen is a just all around criminal who has worked as a bodyguard and hitman in different portions of this series. So this could have happened without Lupin being within shot. Like it's
He could have just taken up just a little gig to get a little bit of spending cash for all we know.
That's fair.
It involved her father.
These characters have deeper lives than casual viewings from outside the series would suggest.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yep. But I will say that this particular movie does have my favorite version of Fujiko. And like I said, it's because she's not trying to fuck over Lupin all the time. It kind of makes her into a more grounded character as a result. It's like she's not. It doesn't feel like she's trying to fuck over the crew like just because, which is kind of what it always felt like with her back in the original series. It's like, I mean, it would just felt kind of arbitrary when she would be on Lupin's side, and then when she would just decide, oh, no, I'm just going to look after myself and everything.
Yeah. Well,
Sure
and
enough.
she kind of fits that archetype of character like Nami from One Piece or Faye from Cowboy Bebop, where it's like, I mean, there's those moments where she's going to try to fuck over the gang, but like ultimately, you know, there's like this loyalty.
She becomes part of the family or part of the crew and whatnot.
I should say early Nami, but did actually a lot more parallels with a character like Faye. Actually, I drew a lot of parallels with this in Cowboy Bebop, to be honest, with some of the characters and their dynamics.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to think that Cowboy Bebop took a lot from Lupin the Third as far as the just the grooviness, and I mean, that's always the best thing about Lupin the Third is that it kind of has that. Especially with the music, it has that real 70s highsploitation thing going, or film. Sometimes it's got more of a film noir thing going on with it, and that, I can see how that might have influenced Shinichiro Watanabe with Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I dig it, and with the supposedly darker, more mature tone that this TV special takes, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, you can kind of see that even better.
Yeah, definitely. Now, as far as the actual heist action in this movie is concerned, we have them stealing a Russian tank in order to try to get in with this arms smuggling group called Shot Shell, which is what Zenigata was reassigned after he was stripped of the Lupin case. And so they pretty much just decide to help him. They pretty much just decide to help him out, and they're just like, maybe we can get a little bit of cash on the side while we're at it. And in the very end of the heist that they come up with, where they're actually like secretly, literally sucking up the Shot Shell's money or Jonathan's money out of the factory and everything, it's kind of interesting. They literally just hook up a pipe to it and they just pipe the money into the sub and everything. It like it's fucking water or something.
Yeah.
The head of Shot Shell, Keith Hayden, he's just a little worm that's like so into Fujiko, and she's just playing him the whole time.
Oh, definitely. He's so skeevy.
I'm sure for some people out there, like Fujiko is a problematic character, but also she's great in this movie because she just does all the right things that a person in her position should be doing. Like, she's actively fucking him over the whole time. And I'm gonna give this to Monkey Punch. I think he would have a lot more gratuitous fan service at another time in his career. I feel like this was relatively tasteful with them being on the boat and all that.
Yeah.
She's suntanning. There's nothing lewd about that,
and the same with some of her other costumes or clothing in this particular movie. Like, for instance, her motorcycle suit. That's a pretty standard. Standard stuff for female anime characters. With the open zipper with the cleavage and everything. But it's like the fan service in this particular special is a little more subdued, but it's a lot more, and of course it's going to be a lot more focused on Fujiko, because Karen is a more subdued character in that respect. Like, she's not like a sultry, seductive Russian agent vixen character or anything. She's just She's a professor who wants to get revenge for her father, and she just kind of gets caught up in the whole machinations of the crew's heist and everything.
And I think that's going to help this thing age too, because I feel like her being a relatively non-sexualized character, except for the little bit of romantic misdirection they do for her with Jigen, which is to get you out of that headspace, they're purposefully wanting you to think this is another romantic thing that will be happening here, and then they create this great situation, and it helps the payoff at the end because it creates a unique dynamic for Jigen within our narrative. And I like the little bits of a hitman emotion we get out of him over this movie.
Yeah, definitely. Like he knows that he screwed up here. He knows what he did. I mean, even if it was in self-defense, it's like at the end of the day, he killed this woman's father, and he still even gives her a chance to take revenge. He's just like, look, if you're gonna kill me, do it now. It's like just pull the trigger and shoot me.
Yeah.
And she's a scientist too, so it also creates like a good, positive role model dynamic on a certain level.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's a scientist. She can pilot a submarine. I mean, she's very capable. She apparently just learned how to handle a gun, or either that or she was lying in order to take the gun from him. But either way, I mean, she's able to handle it.
Yeah, definitely. And the cool thing is that she's kind of a little bit of a wild card character as well, because I mean, there's a couple of moments where she, like near the end, where she joins the mercenary Keith, that's who's apparently what Interpol decided to go with as far as capturing Lupin over Zenigata. He's Zenigata's replacement, essentially. But, I mean, as it turns out, he's on Shotshell's payroll as well, so he's constantly going after Lupin and his crew, but I don't know. I feel like he's a little underutilized here. I mean, he's a character from the first series that they decided to use again, but...
The Keith character... Yeah, they don't really give him enough to be more than flat, I feel. I felt that the more compelling villain by far was the head of Shotshell. Jean, I think.
Jean, yeah. But, I mean, he still ends up being a little bit of a headache for Lupin and his crew. Like, even apparently... They think that he killed Goemon and Zenigata at one point, So this is like a point in the series where like Lupin and Jigen are trying to deal. Well, not Jigen. Lupin and Zenigata. They're trying to deal with the possibility that half of their crew just got wiped out. Like Jigen and Goemon.
Yeah, and they managed to kind of set up the tension with that, even though like. Okay, you're like, okay, these are characters that are part of the crew. They're not going to kill them off in a TV special. But even so, you almost believe it, right?
Almost, yeah. Especially with Goemon.
Yeah.
They have a really cool moment. Okay, I've been arguing with myself about the ethics of this cool moment. But, it gets my lizard brain going. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. They have to deal with that guy who took over Zenigata's job, and Lupin just straight shoots him in the fucking head when he tries to go after him again after like getting knocked out.
Yeah,
and it's just such a badass moment the way they stage it, like and the blood just gushing out of his fucking head. Beautiful, like wow, like
it was really
good. This thing has all the like classic anime hallmarks, Like physics all around. I fucking love it. So satisfying.
Plus that line that he says afterwards is like, well, that's what you get for just shooting at a woman or something to that effect. It's like, yeah, it's matter of fact, Yeah,
fucking killed Karen. Just fucking, I'm kind of glad he's dead on a certain level. I know he should have been able to go before court, but I guess we're going to forgive it in this cartoon.
Yeah, and also how they dispatch of Jean and Shotshell, whenever they take the sub, and Jigen's the one who kind of pulls the trigger on that, who triggers the bomb and everything. So, and then he just blows them the fuck up. It's like, all right, cool.
I guess in a way you kind of have to let them have just a little bit of relaxed ethics as a gang, because they're dealing with like terrorists and rogue military operatives who are outside of the law. So those people are going to have the most extreme means, necessary.
Yeah.
So I guess the Lupin gang is the easiest one to empathize with on the whole.
Yeah, and for me, it was interesting because I'm still kind of getting like a like I'm still trying to get a grip on these characters and like where their morality lies. And there's a point at which Lupin mentions that they do have ethics and there's certain things that he won't do for money. But I'm like, okay, but where does he draw the line? So I'm asking myself this. I'm like, well, I don't think he's the kind of character who's like a no-kill character, right? And sure enough, but you get to the end and I'm like, that was pretty cold actually.
No, he's a killer, man, but he's also just a total goofy motherfucker as well.
Yeah. So it's like he has a code, but like he's willing to kill if necessary.
I didn't think he would go that far because they did that line earlier in the movie. So when he actually just straight up fucking killed that guy, I was taken aback because I did not think he was that cold of a Lupin, like by all actionable appearances in this film. He seemed like a little more sprightly, but I guess that's the monkey punch, making things a little tougher, making things a little more black and white. I think Monkey Punch got a lot better as like a dramatist as he got older and was working with different people that kind of rounded out his rougher edges. They were able to keep the comedy in while making the action a lot more serious.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and isn't that kind of what Lupin as a character is about, is that he has this more goofy, lighthearted exterior, but underneath it, there's actually this like brilliant, calculating motherfucker?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's his whole thing. Yeah, he's kind of self-effacing. It's kind of, he's just very cheerful even.
I mean,
to a point,
one of the smartest people in the world, but also a sheer idiot. He's a man of contradictions.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But anyway, I think that you were talking about, Monkey Punches, how he kind of made the series a little more grittier and everything as he went along. I mean, I think that in this particular special, you can definitely credit Masaki Osumi for the overall tone of this particular story and everything. It's like a much more grounded and mature storyline than what you're used to in like the Lupin series 1 and whatnot.
Voyage to Danger, available from Funimation Productions.
And I don't know how much involvement Monkey Punch has in like all of the anime and the anime specials and whatnot, but it does seem like there is a little bit of back and forth between both, where you're going to have some Lupin that's a little bit more lighthearted and some that's a little bit more serious, because it's a series that's gone on for, already at this point, over 20 years, right? And now, just decades.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Monkey Punch, he's kind of an outlier as far as anime staffing goes. He's a little more concerned with getting that manga out for Lupin. He's got to keep his end up on that there when he was around. But I do like it when he's a part of things, because you can kind of tell, like, when it has his name on it and you also like compare it to other parts of his work that he's involved in. Yeah, it makes for interesting contrast. Like the first few, I've read some of the earlier manga, even though it's not some of my favorite stuff. And it feels a little stilted and like he doesn't quite know how to build up stories just yet. But then after a while, he kind of starts figuring it out, like maybe he gets some people around him too that give him some direction as well. But it's interesting watching him evolve, like within his own creation that becomes infinitely bigger than him as a creator.
and that does
seriously
often happen between mangaka and the anime studios. Is like they'll influence each other, and you'll even notice very often that mangaka will end up kind of adapting a style of drawing that's more similar to the anime, even.
That One Piece guy did that. Like when they started doing the newer anime series, his style evolved a little bit in a way to look more like that in character.
Naruto did that as well. You know, you can look Kishimoto's style early on was very distinctive. But when you look at, you know, the end of the manga, I mean, it looked, you know, very similar to the anime.
I loved the look of early Naruto, and I actually kind of cut off a little bit when it started getting a little more formalized. You know, didn't quite have the quirks around it used to in the first, you know, like 2 Tanker Bomb volumes. That's a conversation for another time. Sorry.
Naruto's my shit, so don't get me started, man. I'll just spend the rest of this podcast talking about Naruto if you guys want.
The important thing is that you agree with me.
Definitely. Well, one more thing that I really like about, especially about the direction that Osumi gave this particular special, is basically the actual camaraderie between Lupin, Jigen, Goemon, and Fujiko themselves. This time around, it feels like there's just some scenes where they're just kind of chilling a little more, and it kind of humanizes them a little more. I mean, like there's that scene where they're in the Ivanov, they're in the Arctic Sea, and they're just fishing, you know, or where they're just on top of the submarine and they're just sunbathing while waiting on Shot Shell to show up and everything.
Or the scenes where you have Zenigata and Goemon with Karen, just like kind of watching over her. Or later on, you know, Lupin is apparently, you know, mourning Goemon and Jigen, but you know, he's just kind of got some downtime and they're just like chilling in the pool thinking about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They just have to decompress, right?
Yeah.
You know, especially after something that seems to be that traumatic. Like I said earlier, they're really actually contemplating the fact that half of their team may have been wiped out. So it's kind of on point for them to go to the pool to kind of process all of that, you know. It's kind of nice to see that where we previously have not seen it in Lupin the Third.
Yeah, they take advantage of the more time that they have on this special to just kind of give the characters time to decompress, and I really like that.
Having that stuff while you're also distracting Jigen with a female compatriot, you know, a female person he's going to be dealing with throughout scenes that makes him question his motive and become introspective. It helps keep the sexism down in the dynamic between Jigen and Fujiko, because sometimes there's some very, very blunt sexism between Jigen and Fujiko. And,
maybe a little bit.
It's a little intense to choke down here and there. You know?
Isn't Jigen the oldest member of the crew?
I'm pretty sure.
Or is that Goemon?
He seems, you know.
So he might just be just this grizzled old man that just kind of is set in his ways like that.
And I was going to say, this is a series dating back to the 60s and 70s in Japan, which still hasn't quite caught up with the West in some ways, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you know, every place has its problems. I don't have any particular mills to grind, axes to grind, what have you, but I think this movie kind of feels a little fresher in a certain way because we're not dropping down on obvious beats that exist between these characters. You know, it feels like these characters are more preoccupied. They're not delving into their baser instincts. And I think that helps make it feel like a fresher thing to watch in this series.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's great. it's great to see how they really coalesce around this whole situation with Shot Shell and with Karen Karinsky and with just that whole heist that they're building up on Shot Shell. You know, it's really interesting to kind of see how that works out.
I mean, even when Lupin kills that guy, you could totally say that's in self-defense. Like, no argument
definitely.
from me, anyways. Like, that's in self-defense. Fuck that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and he was either going to kill him or Karen. So, you know, like that's.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that we could probably go ahead and start wrapping this episode down. I think that we probably talked about as much as we're going to get into this particular special. Let's get into final thoughts, and we'll start with Robbie. What are your final thoughts on Lupin the Third: Voyage to Danger?
Excellent, just all around. I mean, it's a quieter entry in the series as far as the movies and the specials go. I don't think it gets as much press as some other things, but it has a decent setup. I think it is mature without being like juvenile in the way sometimes the series can be. We don't have a salty Lupin. He's pretty cool-headed and stuff. A fun guy to be around. Jigen has a good little subplot, and there's okay stuff with Fujiko. We have a decent English cast. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty decent time all around. It has a little less gender violence in some of the ways the others don't, so that's also a plus for it. Yeah, good time.
Yeah, definitely. And Ash, how about you?
I mean, for me, it was a pretty good entry point, actually. Like I mentioned before, it does a good enough job kind of introducing you to all the characters. I mean, there are some like going on that it took a little while for me to settle and kind of really learn, hear more from him and see more from him. But even so, like I got a feeling for him and all the other characters right away. And I was kind of able to figure out these dynamics. Other than that, I mean, as far as the script goes, I mean, in some ways it's kind of a by the numbers plot. It's a little predictable, but not in a bad way. I mean, it kind of in a comfortable way. Like okay, I've seen these archetypes before. I've seen these situations before, and even then, they managed to do some cool things with it. And I think I do enjoy the little bit more serious tone that this takes. I definitely like to see more Lupin work in this direction, but just also explore the franchise as a whole. I mean, this really actually got me wanting to see more of this, because I was like, this is my vibe, man. It kind of reminds me of Cowboy Bebop and a couple other things that I do really enjoy. So I liked Lupin the Third. Voyage to Danger, as well as what I've seen of Lupin the Third so far. I kind of want to go check out some of the other stuff. And from what I've seen from what Masaoki Osumi did with the series, has been really good.
Oh, definitely. And as far as me, I think this is about as good a TV special for Lupin the Third that you're gonna get, honestly. I mean, this is no Castle Cagliostro. That's supposedly this really, really perfect movie from Miyazaki. I haven't really seen it that much, but it's held in very, very high regard. So I mean,
it's Miyazaki, so
it's Miyazaki, of course. But I mean, here, the more grounded feel of the tone of the special, as well as the actual interplay between the characters themselves, and also the idea of having Zenigata kind of become an unofficial fifth member of the crew, or even kind of an official fifth member of the crew. It's like that's kind of compelling. I mean, that said, I'm not gonna act like this is like the greatest story in the franchise. I mean, it is very, like you said, very much kind of a by the numbers Lupin the Third heist storyline. But I mean, I do like the stakes that are involved. I mean, they do give pretty high stakes. I mean, and especially, bringing Zenigata and the crew together in order to kind of go after this this common enemy that they have. And I like the tone of the characters. You know, I like Jigen's backstory. I do wish that they could have done a little more with Goemon here. I mean, he is at least in the first half of this, he's kind of a blank slate, but he does eventually kind of start to really become a lot more involved. And then before you know it, he's slicing up guns and uniforms off of goons and everything. So that's good to see. And like I said earlier, it's one of my favorite versions of Fujiko, you know, because she's just not arbitrarily being greedy or anything or avaricious. And yeah, it's a pretty good little action thriller. I mean, it's not anything that's going to really knock your socks off. It's not like an amazing anime, but there's some good animation here, some interesting characterization, and I mean some good action set pieces. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, but I mean it's definitely worth it to watch, especially if you really just want to get into this series. And like Ash said, it's actually a pretty good entry point. So yeah, that's all I got to say on it.
I'd really like to stress that it has very like delicate, like pleasing character models, like on a design perspective. Everybody's very round in a pleasing way. When you see headshots, they do these like perfect half moons for almost everyone. That's great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just a great looking movie all around.
It does look good. Yeah. It manages to kind of just emulate that the aesthetic of the series, while like you guys mentioned earlier, just kind of feeling a little bit more fleshed out. And I forgot what I was going to say. I had another point. Oh, I was going to say I was actually curious to find out how we even settled on this particular TV special, because it's not one of the ones that's talked about. Do we even know like who suggested this particular TV special first? Because I know there was some confusion about whose show this episode was on.
Yeah, I believe it was Robbie that brought up Lupin the Third, but I think we were going to talk about a different movie.
Okay. If we were, I don't remember what that movie was.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this episode just.
I feel like it was kind of a happy accident, though, because I mean, this was actually a pretty good entry point. And again, you know, bringing back the original anime showrunner, you know, to direct this movie, kind of, you know, worked out as far as, you know, just kind of figuring out what this is all about.
And let me ask you this: Did you feel like whenever they had like fan servicey moments of like Fujiko in a bikini, like did you feel that at least it had context in a certain way and it wasn't overly gratuitous?
Yes.
You know, because they're out in the ocean doing stuff, you know, like I felt like that helps us out a lot. Like whenever you have a little moment like that, they are at least baking it into the context of what's happening. Like when she's laying on the boat and they're going through and she is topless on the boat, but it's also like a certain amount of a power move for her because they're going to see this impressive arms dealer. So they're going into this situation in their most natural states, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, these characters have known each other for over 20 years, right? So it's like, you know, I mean, they've boned. He's seen her tits at some point.
Oh, yeah, come on now. Lupin and Fujiko have absolutely been together.
Yeah, I mean, she's just going to feel comfortable around him. But, I mean, I agree with you, Robbie. I mean, I do feel like even the amount of fan service that we got was contextualized. Again, reminding me of the way Faye from Cowboy Bebop was portrayed, you know, is like any moment of fan service we got, her in a bikini was, oh, yeah, she's just sunbathing, you know?
Yeah. But... yeah, anyway, that's pretty much Voyage to Danger. Really, really good entry in the Lupin series. So if you want to check it out, I think it's going off of Tubi here in another 6 days or something like that. So
it said 3 days on my computer.
Damn.
It says 6 days on mine or something. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, okay, weird.
Yeah, but it's going to be off of Tubi here very soon. So, I mean, I don't know if we'll have this out by then, but if it's probably going to be off by now. So, I think that you could probably find it on Prime or something, or Plex, I think.
Maybe Crunchyroll.
Yeah,
maybe.
you can find any anime on the internet. I mean, it's not hard. You want to watch something, you can find it. Otherwise, you can buy or rent it. I actually rented the Castle of Cagliostro movie because I was like, yeah, I just want to see this, and it's not on any streaming services. And like, yeah, I could find it streaming online somewhere, but it's $4 to rent. So,
oh yeah, of course.
I just wanted to say about Castle of Cagliostro. There are lots of moments in that movie where barely anything happens, but it's just so richly animated that I've never had a problem with that.
yeah,
Nice.
I've watched about half of it, and it's really good so far.
Hell yeah. Well, anyway, Robbie, how about you go ahead and tell our listeners where you could find Conversations with Robbie Sherman?
Hey, everybody. Conversations with Robbie Sherman can be found on Spotify, Apple, the main streaming places. We got a lot coming up. Batman Caped Crusader coverage. We got some more Lupin coverage. We're going to be covering the first 5 episodes of Part 5 with the Burn of Cinema Recall, and that'll be coming out on a weekly basis. I'm going to try to do more Part 5 stuff because that's actually an amazing series out of all the Lupin series. Like, it's really well done, and they arced it out very well. Yeah, so that's exciting stuff happening. I got some music coming out with my buddy Jake, who goes under the alias Jesus on the Moon, and we have a little EP coming out and some more music we're cooking up for there. So please check all that out. I appreciate you having me on, guys. It's always a pleasure getting together with you.
Certainly.
Hell yeah, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's do this together again sometime.
Yeah, we should.
I would love it. And you know what? Next time it will definitely be my show, and I will bear the burden of hosting. I appreciate y'all.
Well,
No worries, bro.
I do believe that we're going to have you on one of our proper numbered episodes here. I think it's either, what was it, Mean Girls or Rocky? I don't remember.
Well, I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not the best guy for Mean Girls on Contemplation. But I don't know, maybe you should have a girl who's there, maybe even a mean girl, so you have someone with experience, a college diploma.
I don't know. I just need to look at my schedule. I don't remember. I just remember confirming having you on one of our episodes. So I'll just have to look at our episode list and see which one it was. I just forgot.
That's okay. I'm
my
happy
bad.
to be flexible. I'm a friend of Collateral Cinema. He is a friend of mine as far as I'm concerned.
Excellent.
Fucking
Excellent.
A, man.
For sure. And Ash, what's going on with Collateral Gaming?
Well, on Collateral Gaming, we just got out our episode on Oblivion Remastered. That was a spoiler-free game lunch review. But as for our regular numbered content, here either tonight or tomorrow, as of the time of recording this, Bo and I are going to go ahead and record Hong Kong 97. That was supposed to be Bad Game April, but here we are getting it out in March. So we'll get that out, and as well as our other Bad Game Month content, which is... the other episode is Bubsy 3D. Make sure.
Word.
Yeah, we gotta.
I'm sorry.
We gotta cover a couple of bad games every season, as we always cover a couple of bad movies on Collateral Cinema, at least. So that's us checking the box. May's content is supposed to be Bushido Blade. We're planning to have a two-part episode out on that. So if we can get that out early June, that would be great. Obviously, the Switch 2 is coming, and that's going to be our season finale. We're going to be talking about Mario Kart World for part 1 of our season finale, and then just kind of an overall look at the Switch 2 lineup for part 2, as well as a console review. Just because, I just don't feel like there's going to be 2 episodes worth of content for Mario Kart. And then Elden Ring Night Rain is coming out, so I'm going to have a game lunch review out for that. I'd love to throw out, a quick double feature on Claire Obscure Expedition 33 and the 100-Line Last Defense Academy. I know that's a lot of new games that we're covering lately, but there's just so many that are just so good that I really want to talk about. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we'll have out also sometime by the end of May a Collateral Gaming bonus round episode on Doom Eternal, so we can get ready and talk about another new game, Doom the Dark Ages. Man, so many fucking new games coming out that are just really, really, really good. Really good.
Seriously, yeah, that sounds like quite a list of games to go through.
I know, and I'm hoping to get it all done, between the end of May and June, which is only a few days. But hey, man, that's what we're here for.
Right. Yeah, right.
We'll get most or all of that out here within the next couple months, and yeah, guys. As far as Collateral Cinema goes, Bo, are we doing Rocky IV or are we doing Mean Girls next?
I believe it's going to be Mean Girls coming up next. That'll be the next one. And of course, we have the Day of the Doctor out right now. That we just released that today as we are recording.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you haven't checked that out yet, check that one out. And we will have Mean Girls out very soon.
Fuck yeah, man. That was my pick, and I fucking love Mean Girls. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, so I am excited to talk about it.
Now, of course, the big episode coming up is our 100th our 100th episode and our season finale, and that's going to be The Room, and we will be joined by Derek from Ratchet Book Club on that one, and he's never seen the movie before, so that's going to be very, very interesting.
Hell yeah, man. I can't wait to pop his cherry.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite the image you use for that movie.
Yeah.
You are my rose, you are my rose.
Yeah, definitely.
What a story, guys.
But yeah, look for all of that coming very soon. So yeah, I guess that we can go ahead and close this episode out. Anything else to add, everybody?
No.
I'm good. Thank you for having me on Collateral Cinema.
Of course, anytime, man, anytime. And with that, the director's cut is out. See y'all later and have a good time.
心に隠して瞳を閉じればそれで全てが終わる抱きしめて欲しいほど背中を向けたI've never been straight for you I've never shown love for you 忘れてみせるわ
Collateral Cinema is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and movie clips are owned by the respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.